Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name's Ash. Welcome to my channel, Saved by an Angel, where I talk about anything that has to do with paranormal, weird stuff, and self-improvement. Because in 2014, I tried to take my life, and Archangel Michael appeared. In this video, I want to share with you my experience 10 days after San Pedro. Quite a bit of stuff's come up, so I thought I'd make a video on it. The first thing that jumps out that I feel like is important to mention is, if anyone out there is watching these videos that's never done plant medicine before and you're thinking about trying it, there is some things you should know. For instance, I guess it depends somewhat on what it means to you to be doing these plant medicines. But for instance, like ayahuasca, if you've not done any internal work and you think you're just going to go try ayahuasca, I highly don't recommend it. I'll give you an example of this time I did iboga, and I was microdosing it, and I was in a real happy-ish state before I was doing this, and towards the end I noticed that all these thoughts of suicide were coming up, and I got into a really dark place. And at the time I was working with a woman named Joanna the Healer, and what she told me is that what iboga does is it goes down deep and brings up things that need healing. And because in 2014 I tried to take my life by starting my car in my garage, all this unresolved pain was still buried deep down, and iboga was bringing it up for healing. What plant medicines do is they'll bring up things for you so you can heal them, and sometimes it's very uncomfortable. And with San Pedro, for me, what it represented was accepting God and my life. And for me, that's always been a struggle, finding real happiness and being happy to be alive has been something that's not been easy for me. And I was kind of hesitant to begin with to do San Pedro, and I honestly didn't know why. Well, I did know why. I knew what it meant for me, and I always, like I just said, had a lot of resentment for this life and whoever put me here. And one of the things that I also learned was that I was carrying a lot of resentment towards God, and it doesn't really make sense because, just my opinion, but God, and this is what the shaman that I was just talking to the other day told me. She reminded me that, God is everything. So I'm not mad at a doobie, right? God is everything, and is also expresses himself through everything, and is also an identity. But what I came to realize was that the anger that I had was not towards God. God created everything and gave everything, free will and all this stuff, right? The anger that I was carrying, that I thought was towards God my whole life, was actually towards my guides and angels, because they're the ones that sit down with you while you're planning out your incarnation, and they're the ones who say, yes or no. And I feel like there's been a lot of things that went wrong in my life. And so 10 days since doing San Pedro, for me, honestly, it's been an absolute nightmare. Reason being is because what San Pedro did for me is it threw everything, just like iboga did. It brought up all these things that needed healing. And one of the things that I haven't been able to get off my mind since I've done San Pedro was, these beings, or whoever was involved with my incarnation, and the resentment that I had. And it hasn't been an easy ride. It's been up and down like a yo-yo. And 2 days ago, you know, I got to a really low place. You know, anytime you're throwing up a finger to the sky and throwing some F-bombs, you know you're in a dark place. I made a video on an attachment I had from a fallen angel, and I'm quick to understand that when I'm in an energy of hating God or my guides or my angels, what I'm aligning to. And so, you know, a couple days ago, I got kind of scared because I seem to agree a lot with some of the things that my shadow aspect has to bring up when it comes to this life and the protection we're given down here and all these things, right? So I kind of got to a place where I was kind of concerned that maybe I was going to carry all this resentment because I validated it. And I had a similar experience to where when I had this fallen angel attached to me, it was, you know, from like 3:30 in the afternoon, and then I got to my garage from like 5 till like 6:30 in the morning. I sat there with the most anger and resentment towards God until I had to basically call out to Jesus and say, I can't take this no more. And all the anger went away and I was cleared from this entity. And I experienced something quite similar the other day when I had a meltdown towards my guides and angels for this life. It got to the point where I was reminded of how it's so much more difficult to carry anger than it is to just let it go and feel peace. And just this calmness has come over me in the last 24 hours and a new acceptance of this life. And I'm excited to see how this is going to unravel, but I thought it was worth making a video. One thing do I want to bring up? Okay, so if you missed the last video where I talked about my San Pedro experience, I talked about how everything was there was a lot of symbology. I had a knot in my back and what it represented and all this stuff. And one thing I talk about when you're doing plant medicine ceremonies is how you should wear white. And one thing I found interesting was, you know, I've done countless ceremonies always dressed up as white, and for San Pedro I showed up in my big black jacket, and I thought about it, and it was interesting because what it symbolized for me was, you know, doing San Pedro in itself for me was releasing that anger towards, you know, God or whatever you want to call it. And so that was, my black jacket was like bringing my shadow side to the Creator. And something I found interesting, when I was sitting on the stairs, I sat a little too close to a candle and my jacket caught on fire. And to me, you know, it's kind of upsetting. It's a dope jacket. I'm still gonna wear it. I don't care. It's newer and whatever. But it symbolized the purification of my shadow side. So I thought that was cool and worth mentioning. But that's all I got for you guys. I just wanted to make a follow-up. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for subscribing. Helps my channel grow. More people can see these videos. Hope you have a great day.